On tonight's episode, we check out Screwball Whiskey, we check out a transforming Batman, and we review a Batman movie that makes me wish I was never born. Welcome to Alcohol and Anime Night, the show that gets you drunker, the show that gets you fatter, and the show that gets you darker. We're going to need one of these before we get started. Come by. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the Batman Ninja animated anime movie. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it took me almost 3 times watching this movie to A, stay awake, and B, get through it. But I am providing you with this public service, how shall I say, that you won't have to watch it. I'm gonna spoil the shit out of this movie just so you don't watch it. And trust me, you're not gonna want to watch it. Everything I show you here will be all you need to know. Let's start off with some of the basics. The movie itself was made in 2018 and directed by Junpei Mizuzaki, who you would know, well, we'll get to that later. Now, you also might remember from our previous review of Afro Samurai that the character designs were done by Takashi Ozaki. Now, I want to point out these character designs are brilliant. They are easily the best thing about this entire series. I would say the character designs hold up the entire movie. They are that good. They are that cool. They are so good that you're going to wish that you had posters or something large prints of the way they do these. They're incredibly well done. And so I want to give credit where credit is due. These designs are great. In fact, seeing the preview to it, the designs of the characters, is entirely what drew me to this movie. So A+ there on those designs. Some of the voice acting cast, you might know Tom Kenny. He plays SpongeBob. He's in this, I believe, as the Penguin. And Tony Hale, who you'd know from Arrested Development. Of course, the great Tara Strong, known for Twilight Sparkle and My Little Pony. And, of course, as Harley Quinn. And she also does Raven and dozens of other things that are amazing. So right off the bat, great voice acting cast. On the Japanese side, there's Rie Kujumiya, who's also quite good. She plays Harley Quinn on the Japanese side. What is really cool about this, and again, another credit where credit is due, the voice acting cast, both the American and Japanese voice acting cast, seems like they did a great job. I had a chance to listen to both of them, and they were really good. So again, credit where credit was due. Oftentimes, they really overlook that bit and usually give a very shitty version of the voice acting cast to the Americans or the Japanese or vice versa. All right, so Act 1 starts out on this entire thing. Now, as you might guess, this whole thing is going to take place in Japan. How does that happen? So Act 1 starts off really strong. Gorilla Grodd has a time displacement machine that he is building, and we just are thrown right into the middle of it. It's like starting up, and Batman's there, and all of his friends are there. Alfred's there. You know, everyone's there. In one area, this time displacement event is happening, and it's at Arkham Asylum itself, and basically this time machine goes off, and it creates this warp, kind of Terminator-esque, and he's warped back into feudal Japan. So, again, a ridiculous concept, definitely a huge willing suspension of disbelief, but cool. That's a cool concept, and so he is immediately in this feudal Japan. Why? Because plot development? I don't know. There's not. It doesn't really say why they chose that era, or if it was an accident, or anything of that nature. They're just there. So be it. I'm willing to go that far. This is where there's some other amazing things. The art style, again, is fantastic. If you take the time to really look at the backgrounds, especially the sky, it's done in a very traditional Japanese, almost scale format in the sky to do the clouds. Again, a real cool attention to detail that really, again, gets you like, okay, this is a cool idea, this is a cool concept. However, after Act 1, it's like the writers just took a huge bong hit and just turned in the assignment at the last minute. After Act 1, the entire thing falls apart, and it becomes so ridiculous, so stupid, that you don't care about the rest of it. And again, some things are very well done in this. Like, again, the character designs, the actual animation looks great. It's very visually stunning. But they make this insane move to do a couple of bizarre things. Now, I'm going to spoil these intentionally because, again, I don't want you to see this movie. If you just see the preview, that's everything you need to see. And check out the character designs. They're brilliant. But other than that, do not see this. I'm spoiling it up front, but do not see this. It's just so stupid. So one of the first things that happens is you will see Batman loses all of his stuff, right? He loses his Batmobile, which, by the way, somehow made it back in time with him, which is stupid that it even happened because... And then he has his, the Batmobile, descends into the Batwing and then the Batcycle, and they're all destroyed by the Joker's kind of house that turns into kind of a half robot. And at first you're like, okay, that's super, super lame, but if that's all there is, I'm kind of for it. It is not, however. If that's where it stopped, it would just be like, it's lame, but, they did some other stuff later. Now, first of all, Batman in this sucks. He is not Batman as you even know him, because Batman is essentially a fucking ninja. Okay? It's stupid to even call this Batman Ninja. That's what he is. He's a ninja. He's essentially in the dark, hiding, using, these theatrics and stuff like that. That's all ninja. That's 100% ninja. So it's even bizarre to call it this. That should be what he comes naturally. At some point in Act 2, he comes to terms with the fact that he has to, get rid of the technology and then embrace the things of the shadows. Great. They don't ever talk about how they do that. There's not a montage of them doing any of this stuff. He just decides and connects with this clan of Bat Ninja, which just coincidentally have this prophecy of him coming back in time. Which, by the way, he doesn't do shit. He's not even. He doesn't. Throughout this entire thing, he doesn't do anything amazing at all. Batman is just kind of sucks throughout this entire thing. Now, all of his allies are there. Red Hood, Red Robin, regular Robin, Catwoman, Alfred. They're all there. And all the villains are there. Bane, Penguin, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, Joker, Deathstroke. They're all there. In fact, many of the characters... it's so bad. I feel stupid even explaining it to you. So at some point, the different warring states basically now become if you're familiar with that, part of Japanese history. Instead of having the different normal warring daimyos, they are all represented by the different villains. So Poison Ivy, Two-Face, they all represent these different daimyos. And their designs and the character things look awesome. They're really cool. But you can tell very quickly that either this was meant to be a video game and they decided to turn it into a movie, or perhaps somebody only knew about video games. And that's where we get into the director. The director, Junpei Miyazaki, for all I can tell, has never directed a movie, let alone a Batman movie. And it appears he's really only has experience in video games, Mega Man video games to be quite precise, which somehow made him qualified to do this movie. I have no idea why he is the person in charge of this, and it shows. Once you know that tidbit of information, which I didn't the first time I watched it, and then went back, I'm like, oh, you can see several of the cut scenes and several of the interludes and things like that. They are exactly what you would see in a video game. The way they're set up and kind of there's freeze frames and the way it almost looks like a menu when you're looking down at things. It's not going to make sense. If you happen to watch it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that looks like a video game. This basically, if you've ever seen a YouTube video where somebody has taken all the cutscenes to a video game and pieced them together to make a movie, that's basically what this looks like. That's how this looks. In fact, somewhere in Act 2, they changed the animation entirely. So it's almost like watercolory and very loose animation. The animation looks brilliant. And they do this little Red Hood cutaway scene. which it doesn't even really add to the plot that much, and it doesn't explain why is it in a different. It's not like a flashback. It's done in real time, so it doesn't explain why there's this random change in the animation style, and then we just go right back to the other animation style. It's like they shot that scene and were like, wow, that's a really cool animation style, but we can't do the whole movie that way, so let's just keep this bit. And so it's just it's jarring. You're like, why is this even here? Now, all of that is understandable. In fact, you just might call it a bad movie. Now, here's where it goes beyond bad to insulting. And like, I feel like it's like offensive to the fans. First of all, I want to point out, I like Batman. I'm wearing a Batman shirt. I'm wearing a Harley Quinn hat, which you've seen before. I love samurai swords. I love anime. I love ninjas. All of those things. Love it. That being said, they somehow still managed to make this a pile of crap. And that is insulting because it had so much potential. Now, here's where they could have done some things one way or the other. And I'm going to finish telling you kind of the setup, and then I'm going to tell you where I think they could have improved. A little armchair quarterbacking. In Act 3, it completely falls apart and makes you just want to throw a shoe at the TV. What ends up happening is there's a big battle that's going to happen by all the daimyos, and they're all going to arrive in this field of battle. However, what they do is they bring their mobile fortresses. Okay, I'm not sure how that's possible. This is Sengoku era technology. I mean, we're talking, Bronze Age technology, type of thing. They had like very basic type things. There like things like black powder did exist, and there were things like kind of rudimentary cannons and rudimentary explosives, but we're talking about things that nowhere near today's technology. But yet, all of these like mobile fortresses have like missiles and machine guns and maybe the stupidest, most insulting thing of all, they become Transformers. These mobile fortresses transform into giant robots. At that point, it's just a complete garbage fire from that point. So, again, I love Transformers. Love it. There's one sitting right here. They're all over the place. It is completely stupid in this realm because they made these Transformers out of like bamboo and sticks. It's so ridiculous that you can't even suspend your disbelief. So, okay, they have these Transformer giant built things. Again, there's no explanation how they could have done it. They're not using magic. And so these these robots are fighting, and then somehow the Joker comes in, and he knows what he comes in with this like secret plan. Him and Gorilla Grodd both have this plan, and his giant robot can do this special thing with a mahjong tiles or something, and then combines all of the other things and becomes like a big devastator. All the other stupid Transformer robots are now combined onto him to make one giant robot. Okay, awesome, wow. And it's, again, so stupid. So no, Batman and all his buddies are, what are we going to do? And you'd be like, we are at the epitome of what's stupid right now. Like, this is, if we just stop, it will be stupid. Nope, we got more to go. There's some more stupid stuff that they haven't addressed yet. That's taking more bong hits and be like, all right, what else can we do? I shit you not. Robin plays a flute, and millions of monkeys, dressed apparently as samurai, come out, and as he plays this flute, Robin gets them to form into this, they all form together into a big monkey that then punches the giant Devastator robot out. And they're all like, yeah, we did it. By the way, Batman's just chilling over here. He hasn't done shit. He hasn't done anything. But yet, this is the thing. Oh, yeah. Now, then the giant Devastator robot gets up, and now he's really mad. And so, in order to kind of really defeat him, an army of bats come in and then go on top of the army of monkeys, and they literally form a giant replica of Batman from the old animated series. You're like, oh, cool, what a neat little homage. Except it's stupid. A giant replica of Batman, and then he's fighting this giant robot, and then the monkeys come in and finish things off. Now, meanwhile, there's some like other little fights between Harley and Catwoman, which, by the way, that's cool. The fight scene between Harley and Catwoman is cool. There's a couple of cool lines, some funny lines. There's like a cool fight scene between Ivy and Robin. Those are all really cool. But they'd already ruined the movie. And of course, they beat everybody up. They collect all these gems that they needed basically to fire up this time machine, and they all go home. It's stupid. It's completely stupid. I wish I had a stronger word for stupid, but it's so insulting that it just makes you furious. Now, could this have worked? Absolutely. Absolutely. This could have worked in 3 ways very well. 1, it could have been done as a comic book alone. Just a comic book or a manga. I don't think it ever needed to be animated. I think it would actually have been a really neat manga to do, a full color kind of thing. I think that could have been really neat, especially with those character designs, to really get some neat, I could imagine some like different covers, some really excellent cover art. I think that would be excellent, especially combining the manga style. 2, I think it would have been a really cool video game. Especially the way it was already set up already. I think it could have been a really fun video game. And all those kind of ridiculous things about the giant robots and stuff, you would have given it a pass because you're playing it. You're involved in it. You might have been involved in like beating up the big robots and stuff like that. And because it's a video game, you get a free pass on some of those things as long as it's fun to play. So I have so much regret they didn't do it that way, because I really think it could have been successful that way, in the same way that those Afro Samurai video games were done. And I think it could have been done by like the same people. 3rd, they needed to make a choice. Now, if you've ever seen Teen Titans, it's a brilliant show. None of what happens is really canon in the show. They're all episodic. So what happens in the episode stays in the episode. Sometimes it's quite ridiculous. Some of the stuff that happens, it's silly, it's funny. It's meant to be that way. And although it's using DC characters, it's like The Simpsons. It's fun to just use like random stuff in there and have different guests and stuff like that. If they would have done this that way and embraced some of the silliness, like, oh, we got giant robots now, and they kind of give like the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're doing anime stuff, I think that could have been really funny. And honestly, there are some comedic moments in there. They could have kept the same stuff, just not been so serious. In fact, it could have even played on the fact that Batman's not doing anything and they're all doing something, and that could have been a funny part. But they didn't. Or they really could have leaned into the ninja part of it and made a very serious ninja movie. And that could have been neat because, again, Batman is a ninja! So it would have been so cool to see them really lean into that. So I'll be honest, this is a hard pass. It's really cool looking. I couldn't regret buying this more. The best thing that this thing did for me was gave me content to talk about it on this channel. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about the stuff I don't like enough. And this, I don't like it. It sucks. But what I do like is Skrewball Whiskey. And of course, they're not a sponsor of this channel or anything like this. I just like it. And I realized one time recently, we actually drank it and didn't talk about it. So I want to talk a little bit about Skrewball Whiskey. It is a peanut butter flavored whiskey. It is drinkable right out of the bottle. I recommend it chilled. This is great if you're camping. If you are sitting around a campfire, you want to pass the bottle around. This is great, ice cold. I do not like Fireball whiskey. I know a lot of people do. I do not. To me, this is leaps and bounds above Fireball whiskey, and I also find that it is just tastier. This and brown sugar bourbon, to me, are the ultimate camping whiskeys that you can have around the fire at night, so I absolutely recommend this. It's not a super high proof. In fact, it is a 70 proof, so it's not crazy. You know, you're not going to just get wild on this. You can drink it right out of the bottle. I know very few people who don't like this. Obviously, if you're allergic or something, I imagine that you probably wouldn't want to give this a go. But definitely check it out. Buy a bottle. If you like peanut butter at all, you'll like this. It tastes identical to peanut butter. Drink it right out of the bottle. So that's one thing to check out. Now, I promised that we would talk about something else. I know we like the Screwball Whiskey, and I wanted to talk about another Batman, another transforming Batman. And this is from the Transformers Headmasters, and this is Mindwipe. He transforms into a bat. It's hard to see there, and he has a little guy in there. Now, I want to tell you guys a little bit about Transformers Headmasters. A lot of you might not know about this series. It essentially takes place after Transformers the movie. So it's, you'll see some continuity issues because Japan and America kind of changed the way they were going to present Transformers at that time. And so Transformers Headmasters essentially takes place straight after the Generation 1, and then the movie is kind of like not talked about. So it's like almost if the movie didn't happen, or maybe just before. I'm not sure why they did it that way, but regardless, so you have to, when you're watching it, you kind of have to keep an open mind about the continuity. It might be different than what you're used to. Now, the idea of the Headmasters is that there are both villains and heroes that are very tiny Transformers. And they were on a planet, the planet Headmaster, and in order to survive, many of them died. What they did is they created essentially these giant transforming mech suits, and then they would just transform into the head of it to control it, and thus called the Headmasters. So there's several, you may have seen them, they're kind of older niche Transformers. They're called Headmasters, and you'll see these little characters here transform into the head of the actual robot. This is Mindwipe. He has like a telekinesis power, and he can like hypnotize the other Transformers. Kind of a cool bad guy. The bad guy Headmasters were kind of animal based, so there is him, Skullcruncher, and Weird Wolf, which I think is maybe one of the coolest names. They're all kind of animal based. Before kind of Beast Wars was a thing, they were beast based creatures, and then the Autobots are like a tank and a helicopter and a few other things. There's a Chrome Dome and some of the other guys I can't remember. But it's funny. If you have a chance to see it, I'm going to try to put a link to it. There are several fan subbed and fan dubbed versions of the Headmasters. I believe it goes all the way up to at least episode 9. They are available for free on YouTube. I will try to link to them down below. If you like Transformers and you want something that's a little bit different, kind of the Japanese only version, I'm not sure the Headmasters ever aired in the United States. I believe the figures still got released, but I'm not sure it ever aired. I have to check on that, but I don't think it ever did. But if you want to check a very Japanese version of kind of what feels like a G1 Transformers, a little bit better animation, check out the Headmasters and check out this transforming Batman, which is better than the Transformers we saw in the Batman that we just watched. I'm going to do an unboxing of this someday, but I don't think that we really have the time to do one this time, so we'll maybe delay it. We have some other things coming up. Now, what we do have coming up, I just placed an order for the Otaku box. Now, I really went back and forth on this, whether I wanted to kind of invest in it. Now, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to lay it on the line right off the bat. They have two options. They have an ecchi option and a regular, they call censored option. Now, right off the bat, I was like, censored? That's not for me. But I watched a couple of other things and saw what came with it, and the uncensored stuff is basically nudity with the characters. They create a lot of their own original art for things by local artists. They'll make t-shirts and wall scrolls, buttons, and things like that. And essentially, one of them's kind of like in a scantily clad type thing, and the other one's just straight up nude. Now, that's all well and good, but what am I going to do with that? Where am I going to wear a t-shirt with just anime titties on it? Like, I'm certainly not going to wear it around the house, so I would probably even rarely even wear the one that has like a scantily clad, person on it. So even as much as I like that kind of stuff, I'm not just going to walk around to the store with just boobs hanging out on a shirt. It's just so uncouth. So I opted away from it because I thought I don't really need. I can't display that stuff. I can't wear it. It would sit in a box and I'd maybe give it to somebody as a gag gift. So I got the censored version. I know you guys are disappointed, but I suspect that it's still going to have some pretty good ecchi content for us. That's still going to be quite PG-13. So when that comes, I believe next month, we're going to check it out. And I've heard a lot of hype about it. I've heard a lot of people say it's garbage. I've heard a lot of people say it's great. Honestly, we had a great time with that Manga Spice box, so hopefully this is great. We'll have that coming in too soon. I also have Nekopara. I just bought the entire collection. Everybody told me I needed to watch this, and I thought, why not buy it? So I bought the DVD collection. DVD, what are you going to do? But we're going to review this one here quite soon, so if you're a fan of that, hopefully that'll cleanse our palate of this Batman animated ninja shit. So it's been a pleasure talking anime with you guys. My name is Scott. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed what we do here. If you have comments, I love comments. I can't tell you how much I love comments. Even if it's just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you say, dude, I hate your hat, whatever, your beard looks weird. Whatever it is, most of it's been quite helpful. So I thank you guys so much for the comments that you've given so far. I'm going to keep providing you with more content. We're going to try to do some more out of the house type stuff again. I know you guys like that. But until next time, kampai.